So I'm going to share this presentation that I made for you guys. It shouldn't take too long, but it's something that you get to listen to. So the difference between sound and light octaves was pretty complex. Pamela, Joe, you gotta go start. But I'm wondering, hopefully more people have heard about this, I don't know, controversy about 440 as being the note for A, or 432 as being a better note for A, yeah? So who's heard of this controversy between 440 and 432? Okay, all right, cool, there's a few more people.
Each note has a range, so there is a precise, but the range on either side is still that sound.
Yeah, I know what you mean here with that, because the difference between 432 and 440 is so slight that you could get away with calling them both A, right? Yes?
8 hertz is the frequency of the Earth.
Yeah.
So that's a big range, I just realized. 8 hertz is the entire frequency of planet Earth. Yeah. And when we're grounding and stuff, we're tuned to that 7.8 hertz.
Yeah. Do bear in mind that the difference between 7.8 and like 8 is probably about the same between 432 and 440,
right,
because of the way that the harmonics work.
Right.
So
it's actually a very dramatic difference because
Yeah.
they explain it in one of the episodes of Spirit Science that the 432 fits into the factor 9 grid. I
Right.
don't know if I can explain exactly what that is, but it's on Spirit Science.
Okay, cool.
It's a divine frequency. It's aligned. It's in alignment, and 440 is not in alignment. So basically, it's created this huge distraction because all of our music has been tuned to 440 for the past 100 years-ish.
right,
And
not
it's
that long.
out of sync with everything.
Right.
In addition, the electrical grid is either 50 or 60 hertz, and they found out that actually the most destructive for our bodies,
Oh, wow.
these frequencies.
Is what?
Yeah, some of the most destructive for our bodies is 50 and 60 hertz frequencies. They picked that for our
The
electrical
frequency
grid.
for electricity.
So what should they have? What should it be?
532.
Yeah.
528, just fine.
532?
528 would be great.
That's a big difference between 50 and 60.
Well, yeah, of course, but it's not impossible. See, this was chosen not necessarily arbitrarily and for the most economic reason, but because they knew what it was actually doing.
Okay,
Keep us
so-
disconnected.
Yeah.
If I could have your attention here, I want to show you some of the work that I've been doing that I feel like I finally have it synthesized in a way that I'm going to present right now and hopefully do it rather smoothly, quickly. But basically, what I wanted to show is that, like, first of all, 432 is better than 440. I'm convinced at this point, and I encourage you all to convince yourselves that 432 is the number that is just all over our universe from what we can perceive. And 440 has been great because it's allowed different parts of the world to be in tune with one another, sometimes for instrument makers and things like this. But I'm still going to go ahead and say that 432 is much more harmonious for us as beings, right? Okay,
Now,
so
what does that mean though? Is that waves per second or what does that refer
Yeah.
to?
yeah, it's exactly what it
Just
means.
like
Waves per
That's
second.
exactly it. Yeah, when the wave goes up and down and back up to the middle point, that's one wave. And 432 to 440, it has 8 more wavelengths going in per second for each tone. So it actually crowds the beat and makes you have to process more, as opposed to letting it be natural and it's a relaxed tune.
Yeah. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and debunk equal temperament and talk about just intonation. Okay? So these are two different ways that the humans have divided the scale, specifically the Western scale, but no, it's both. I think it's all over the world, but basically what a lot of music reverts back to is Pythagoras, who has a story where he was walking around his town and he heard a blacksmith hammering on the metal, and then a different metal, and he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. They were making a harmony with each other. The sound of the one metal and the sound of the other metal. And so when he, I guess, heard that there was a harmonic relationship between these two metals, he went to the blacksmith and saw that those two metals were different sizes. So the smaller metal is going to be a higher pitch and the larger metal is a lower pitch. And then what happens from there is that you can discover that if you have a piece of metal that is, I'm just going to say 10 units of length, if you had the same exact metal, 5 units of length, exactly half, they're going to be in a perfect harmony. If it's exactly half, it's going to be a perfect harmony. And if it's slightly off, you're going to hear that. You're going to hear that it's slightly off, right? So the thing is that Pythagoras went ahead and figured out what those ratios are that are most harmonious. So like 1 to 2 is the most harmonious ratio, I guess. It's the octave. And then taking something that was like a size 3 and comparing it to a size 2 is also very harmonious. And just to give an example, if it was like 3.014 and 2. Yada yada, it's not going to sound harmonious because the waves aren't meeting so often. When you have something that's 2 feet long and 3 feet long, those waves are going to be interacting a lot, and that's where harmony really comes from. It's from those like really clear numbers meeting each other, right? So, but here's what happened, is when you're in A and you create all of these, the ratios that are natural, it's going to sound great. But as soon as you go to B, like all of them sound weird again. And this is like what the issue is. This truly is a huge issue that has been going on for a really long time. So there, at one point around, I think the 1700s, they had these pianos where like, there were like 5 different A's and like 4 C's, and you had to know which one to do. And they got so complex that what they decided to do was, okay, let's just take A to A, and let's divide it by 12, and let's make it equal, right? And this is called equal temperament. And any piano, for the most part, that you see is going to be equal temperament. The same distance between every note. So here's what happens. Everything is slightly off. Okay? That's what happens every time. But it's slight. But it's not that one is more off than the other. Everything is slightly off, right? Okay, so it's kind of a big problem, right? And I'm starting to think that technology is going to be able to solve this problem. That's my hope. So what I did here is I'm really wanting to show how that is an issue, and I really feel like we have to just tune into ourselves to understand that, like, what I want you to look at specifically is this column right here, these reduced decimals. All other than the 2 and the 1, all of these decimals are just like complicated. And I love how you explain that. When it's complicated, it's like it overprocesses the brain, right? And it's uncomfortable to listen to. And then when you compare it to just intonation, here we've got 2 to 1, 15 to 18, 7 to 4, 5 to 3, 8 to 5. All of these are relatively simple, relatively. Much more simple than 1.781797, because it continues. But 7 out of 4, as as that ratio, like I was saying with Pythagoras, talking with the metals, translates to 1.75. And so you're gonna hear like the harmony with that, right? Okay. Any questions at that point? All right, cool. That means I got you in. So what I did now was I already skipped through 440 sucks and 432 is better. And we're already jumping into, okay, we're already in 432, but now what's the difference between this equal temperament that I'm trying to debunk, I guess, and just intonation, which I'm trying to say is more naturally occurring. So what I did was I figured out these frequencies of all of the equal temperament notes and then all of the frequencies of the just intonation notes. And again, these are much cleaner numbers, right, in the blue here. And then I went ahead and showed you the difference. And now you get to hear it. All right. So first is the equal temperament scale. And I'm going to ask you to just quietly listen to the way that each note changes. And if you're really sensitive, feel what each note feels like, because they're all going to feel slightly different. We'll see if it works. Okay, so there's no wrong answer or anything, but I'm suggesting that that's not as harmonious. Yeah.
I didn't mind it.
That's the right answer if there was one. All right. Here is just intonation of the exact same scale. It's going to be slightly different, but again, like really try to feel each note.
Sorry, can I make an observation?
Yeah.
So at every changeover from like the next level, on the first one, I had like a little, I'm super sensitive, like I feel things in my gut. And I had a little ping of anxiety every time. And this time, I was waiting for it and I did not.
Wow.
Seriously.
You are very sensitive and that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I feel it as an energy when I call it. So in the first one, the first 5 notes, it was like something was squeezing my heart.
Wow.
I felt it as a almost like a hit in my heart.
Yeah.
And then as it got higher, it was more in my brain.
Oh.
And then in the second one, my energy felt smooth and calm. And then about halfway through, I actually felt an energy shift, which was a positive
Wow.
in
Wow.
kind of relaxation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So what I want to say here is that that first one, that was equal temperament, that was full of constriction, right? The thing is that I really want you to know, I want you to leave this feeling like experts in this field, perhaps. But that first one was 432, okay? So if there's someone who says, oh, look, my scale's in 432, that means that it's perfectly in tune now, right? What I really want you to see is not necessarily. If it's 432, but it's still using this equal temperament, which most instruments are, there's still going to be a lot of disharmony. So what we really want to be seeing is 432 in what's called just intonation, which is based on fractions, which is based on harmonious relationships. Do you guys want to hear what they sound like at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay. Any predictions? More harmonious? Okay. You think?
I think the second one will help ease and balance out the first one.
Okay. Has anyone heard of binaural beats?
What?
Binaural beats.
Beast?
I know.
I don't
Two
know what
different
she's
things
saying.
here.
Binaural beats.
It's like different things
She's
in
saying beast.
So what's going to happen here is when they're both played together, you're going to hear what's called a binaural beat, which is that the sounds are really close together, but they're not quite the same, and so there's just like this pulsation that happens, okay? Now the thing is, that pulsation is going to be different depending on how different those two notes are from each other. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it and then I'm going to let you watch this and we can follow along.
The closer they are, the slower it'll be. So if they're really close, it'll be like wah, 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 wah. And as they get farther apart, it'll go wah, 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 or
Yeah.
so if you're
It might be the
right
opposite.
close to each other, it'll be going wah, wah. And if you're exactly on, you will not get that kind of.
Okay. Let's check that, because it might be the opposite, but it's definitely that, like this 13 one is gonna do a different wah 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 thing than the 5 one. Okay? So I'll play it and we'll watch this as well. Zero. Right? Cool. I think you had it right, my friend. You had it right. Yeah. The farther apart, the more whoa, 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 whoa. Right? Okay. There's got to be a more technical word for that. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is show you what happens when you build chords. And that's what these other two are. I almost don't want to take your time to hear the chords with equal temperament. It's basically doing what we just did, but worse. So, do you want to hear it? No. Yeah? Okay. All right, this sucks, everybody. Ready? This is the chords of when it's equal temperament, when it's just like.
Which chord is it?
So the way that chords are built is that you take the first note, which is A, and then you go up to what's called the major third. So in this case, it's C sharp. If the first note was not A, it would not be C sharp. But because the first note is A, the major third is C sharp. And then you take the perfect fifth, which is E. So when you take the first, the third, and the fifth, that's going to be a major chord. So what I did was I took that, and then I went up, 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 up. So you're just hearing a major chord going up that scale. Okay? In this, here you go. Oh. Hey, I'm telling you to go right there. Okay. Okay, I know. Basically what's happening there, the reason why it's difficult is because now you have binaural beats times 2, binaural beats times 3, depending on how you look at it. And so there's just so many, there's so much dissonance to it, basically. And the thing that's cool about just intonation is, for those of you who are very sensitive, you could hear it when it was just a single note. I will hand it to you, that's very impressive. Normally, it's a lot easier to tell that just intonation is more harmonious when you build chords. Because now chords basically mean that you're having notes who are in a relationship. And so the just intonation chords are going to be much more in tune. So basically what I want to leave you with is that what happens there is the first one is perfect as far as harmonies go. All the waves are fitting in to their perfect mathematical relationship, basically. But what's interesting is kind of what I was saying earlier is because it's based on A, not all of them are going to be perfect. Okay? So this is significantly better than that first one, but it's still not perfect. There's still dissonance in some of the chords. And that's why those pianos used to say, oh, do the other D sharp, it's 3 cents higher, so it's going to be better. Okay? But, and of course, if this was played on an organic instrument, that would make a huge difference. So I'm already stretching your minds a lot to make you listen to sine waves. So thank you for your attention on here. Yeah, what kind of questions do you have?
Okay, can I give a reflection on how I felt it affect my body.
Yeah.
So, you know the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system?
Yeah.
So I felt in the first one, like, it was almost like my body went into shock alert.
Okay, like,
And into that sympathetic nervous system, the fight, flight, the whole brain was like,
wow.
on stress.
Yeah.
On stress, there's something stress. And then as soon as the second one started, it shifted my body into the parasympathetic mode.
Wow.
Into the relaxation, almost immediately.
That is bringing this to such a next level. Thank you. Yeah, because sound healing definitely it wants to address those two systems.
Right.
And how most of us are operating too much in that stress mode. And that's why things like the sound bath and singing and creating natural overtones really is healing. Like it truly is. It's bringing us into the parasympathetic nervous system where different chemicals are released and we feel better and our healing happens.
The whole energy in the brain shifts to a different area of the brain.
Oh.
Comes more forward from
More forward.
The sympathetics in the back, the old brain.
Wow.
You know, the
Yeah.
reptilian brain,
Yeah.
and it shifts it forward into the more
Wow.
thinking brain, prefrontal cortex.
Wow, cool. Thanks. Yeah.
Could there be an app that fixes the music?
That's what I've been dreaming of for a few years. Yeah, I think so. I do really think so.
Right?
And it would have to be where you have to consider the natural overtones, which is, I feel like looks a lot like what we saw from Andre's presentation, like the way that our overtones look is very organic and it's very natural, and it's because everything's in relationship to each other. And I feel like an app could figure that out once we get our computers in E.
Well, I mean, you know, I think it's kind of already figured out because the computers are already doing the digital music in the 432.
Yeah.
But the real problem is the fact that people are using the 440 for different, you know, through production in Hollywood and as a sound warfare. You know, in reality, even Napoleon was using the 440 frequencies. You know, because it does create the disassociation and the stress from the extra frequencies in the beat.
It's true. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I think, but with the digital aid now, the computers are already tuned in so precise with the 432 that when it comes to digital music, I mean, you can type in 432 on the internet and there's just all the sound healing and the power thought and the meditative club and my mind and all that. And there's just tons of healing music.
It's cool to hear you say the things that I see.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to it all the time, you know. But there's just tons of things on there, and it's all digital, and so it's really kind of tuned in pretty well. But
Awesome.
every system's different, though. There's always variations, even in speakers, you know. So I guess that's kind of keeping things a little offbeat, huh?
Yeah, most things on the radio are 440, and it's why like
And production, all through TV and everything, yeah.
it's hard to listen to the radio, other than what they're talking about, singing about.
So Rolly,
Yeah.
I mean, then when Matt says put it on an app, that alarms me because the more apps we have on our phone, the more dangerous the phone is to our bodies. Are there, and you've done it through technology, which it's brilliant, but are there natural ways to do this through something that's not technology?
Anyone know how to overtone chant?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's natural. When you sing a note, like you could, it would take a really special person to be able to say, "Ooh," and know what frequency that is. Okay? That's like beyond perfect pitch. But if you did sing a note and then you change the overtones naturally, those overtones that you're going to hear are going to be the same relationship as the fractions that I showed you. So
the human voice could do it.
yeah. Yeah, so basically what happens is like you have your frequency wave and then the next overtone is going to be double that. The next overtone's triple that. It's very simple that way. The next overtone is quadruple that. But what happens is as you quadruple and quintuple and the frequency starts to get very high. So then this is probably why there's all these issues, is you take this really high frequency that's part of this note and you try to lower it so that it fits in the scale. That's how you get the fractions, but they're reduced fractions. So that's probably part of it.
They're a little complicated for my brain.
Me too, I'm extrapolating from my research.
Couldn't we try as a group to make overtones?
Yeah, so let's get our 432 in our heads just to, might as well, overtone in 432. As soon as I did that, my eyes darted to the trees outside.
So there's a way with the repetitive work for a group to make overtones.
Yeah. I shared this at an open mic that a really good way to start learning overtones is to say the word hurry very slowly.
What's that word again?
The word hurry.
Oh,
Hurry, but say it very slowly. Yeah.
So
Y'all have homework.
would there be time for me to teach people how to do this?
Do you have another way to do
Yeah.
overtones?
Yeah, it would be better if people were close together so that we could really hear each other. I mean, do people want to do
You
this?
want to do this after Micah's presentation? We have one more presentation.
Oh, sure.
Yeah?
Hri is one of the 4 ways of saying Om. There's Om, Hung, and Hri are the 4 sounds of Om.
Mm. Oh, like the overtones.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you said hurry, but it sounded like Hri, which
Yeah.
is one of the ways of saying Om.
Oh, wow.
So when you have a mantra, it begins and ends with one of the 4 forms of Om,
Oh.
such as Om Ami Dewa Hri.
Oh,
It's a circle, it goes back to Om.
yeah.
But Om and Hri are the same.
Hmm. Hri, H-R-I?
Yeah. So
Wow.
Om Ami Dewa Hri, Om Dewa Hri, Om Dewa Hri, Om Dewa Hri, Om Dewa Hri.
Wow. Wow. Okay, cool. Okay, so the next presentation is going to be from Micah. How do you say your last name? Oxidal. So when I got to Ashland and I went to the Little Chapel Bagels, I was like, whoa, this is the coolest art that I've ever seen. And then me and Alexis do a show, and I was thinking maybe he could be on the show, but then it worked out really well to just have you come here for this conference. Because the Resonance is also it's a lot about art and how all of the way that science and technology and our evolution has contributed to art. And I just feel like what you're doing is like so surreal and scientific and mind-blowing that it's just going to be a really nice way for us to kind of, I'm curious how we're going to apply these very technical numerical concepts to what we're going to be seeing here from this art. So, and then in the background, you're gonna like this, Andre. I made a song, I guess you'd call it, based on the solfeggio frequencies. So 528 being one of them, and then all 9 of them are gonna be played as background. And yeah, we'll start that up as soon as we get this flash drive.